Hey y'all, welcome back to Mirror Expressions. And if it's your first time here, then also welcome. Anyways, this channel is all about me sharing a little bit of myself with you all. And then I invite you all to do the same with me. And as always, before we get into anything, let me know you are A-okay by dropping a a mirror emoji down in the chat. And if you haven't looked in the mirror today, or if you have but you don't feel A1 with yourself, make sure to take whatever avenues you must to get back to a healthier you. All right. Y'all also take a moment to go and hit that like button and that subscribe button. And while you at it, go and share. Okay? So we about to get into it with Married at First Sight. We got season 15, episode 11, Back to Our Future. So this was the episode, every season they do where you write your letter to your younger selves and you take the person back to where you grew up in, okay? Some of them couldn't do that because a lot of people in this area are transplants, but anyway. Let's go and start at the beginning because I'm kind of jumping ahead of myself. So it's 24 days until decision day. So we pick up where we left off last week with the couples being at their dinner together. So Missy Legs, she goes outside to talk to Justin, and she's like, I don't get it. I told you I didn't want to talk. And y'all, Jolly the Green Giant, he said that her body language was saying something different. It looked like you just shut down. So we find out because of editing that there were some things that we didn't see, like him whispering to her to tell the group about his progress, right? And remember, Lex said last week that she didn't want to share because she didn't want to share anything because she didn't want to have to say that he hasn't made any progress, and then he get all emotional. So apparently he was wanting that feedback from her, and she wasn't giving it to him. So anyway, so that's why he was really on her to speak up and say something. And y'all, I'm so tired of them saying baby every other second. Because when they were talking to each other, this is how it was. Baby Bob, baby love, baby. I was like, oh my goodness. I was like, can y'all please? Like, and it was not just one of them. It's like both of them. I was like, oh my goodness. Yo, baby, yo, baby, yo. Oh, but I digress. So anyway, he says he was doing that to check on her, and she says that that's not how you check on her. That's not how that's not how you check on her. That's not how it came across. That if he was truly just wanted to check on her, then he just should have asked, well, like, are you okay? Versus go and tell me about my progress, So that's what he really wanted. Like she said, he wanted her to tell everybody that he was making progress. So anyway, they called to a common ground and they hug it out. But y'all, why did it look like she did not want to hug him? Like her eyes were shifted every which way, but like on him or like closed. It was just like she really did just want to do it. Like she just did it just to be nice or oblige him. I was like, oh child, they just not gonna last at all. They ain't gonna make it. 23 days to decision days. So the ladies are meeting up in at Kristen and Mitch's apartment, and the guys over to Sasha and Nate. So we get them kind of going back and forth between the two groups, right? So over with the ladies, we see Morgan telling them that she had met up with Lex, and she told her how she had a feeling that Ben just was not being honest with her and that something was going on. Y'all tell me why Missy Lex was like, they shouldn't say this, but this was her facial expression was like, damn, Why you tell them we met up? I was trying to have them think that I ain't know what was going on with y'all. Like, that's literally what her facial expression was saying. Um, so anyway, over with Ben, he admitted to lying to the other guy. So it seemed like he did talk to Justin after saying that he won. And this is where I need Ben to just kind of speak up and step up, because um Ben, you're lying. And you tried to get on to Morgan about lying on y'all honeymoon and how that was such a big thing. But now here you are. You lying. You know what I'm saying? After you done came and heard so hard about her lying. And where I need him to step up is, I just need him to tell Morgan that from time to time that you're going to need someone to process things with outside of her. Like, don't make no promises that you're not going to talk to anybody, because there's just an unrealistic expectation. Now, especially, I was going to say, especially like if you're like in a typical marriage, maybe not so much, you don't need to have loose lips. But again, it's always healthy to have somebody to talk to, and especially in the kind of process that you all are in, where things are so much accelerated, and then y'all have to be limited to the number of people that know about what you're going through anyway. So I need you to just tell her that you're going to need somebody to process things with. Tell her that it's normal, that it's healthy, and that you will be respectful. You're not going to be lying on her. And you're not going to be disclosing personal information, but just somebody to talk to with about your feelings and your experiences. And I just need you to be honest with that. Okay? Are we here? All right, Ben. All right. And then you need to tell her that, within this process, Justin is the person you're drawn to. You haven't known him long, but out of all the men, that's who you feel the most comfortable with. And that's why you go to him. So, anyways, that I need you just to stop lying. Period, point blank, though. Stop lying to her, because you already know she has trust issues. So you're not helping the situation right there, Ben. You're not. And Morgan, you need to stop being so damn controlling. Period, point blank. You're unreasonable, and it's just straight up ridiculous. If you want to control the narrative that much, you just should not have gotten married. That's all it is. So anyway, in his confessional, Justin, he's putting his 2 cents in, saying that he feels Morgan wasn't ready for marriage. Sir, I don't think you were either. So, of course, with the ladies, Morgan swaying them her way, just saying that Ben is a different person depending on who he's standing in front of. And so she doesn't really know who he is. So Linda, in her confessional, she's now saying the same thing that Justice said about Morgan. She's now saying it about Ben, that basically he wasn't ready to get married. I don't think either of them were, to be honest. So anyway, Morgan has moved out after she's forced him to stay in this marriage with her. Like, what was the whole sense of that? I don't know. Make it make sense, Morgan, please. And that they have not been communicating at all. So we learned that they are gonna all be meeting with Dr. Pepper, and so Ben mentions that, and that how he's looking forward to that, and hoping that they can gain some tools there that will be able to help them move forward, right? And so, Mitch Why I forget? I feel like this was Miguel. It was either Miguel or Mitch. I'm just gonna say that because I really don't remember which one. But anyway, they asked Ben, and I ain't got it right here in my notes. So anyway, but it was asked of Ben that if after the meeting with Dr. Pepper, Morgan takes some accountability, then what? And so Ben said, he would just like to make it to the end of the 8 weeks and then make a decision. I'm just like, Ben, I already know what he gonna say, and that's a no. That's a no. So over to the other side with the ladies, Morgan's complaining that Ben is probably over there right now running his lips with the guys. I'm just like, dude, you doing the same thing right now with all these ladies. Like, back the fuck up. I ain't mean to cuss like that, but back up, Morgan. Back up. Like, you are too much, girl. You're doing the most. Like, ugh. So hypocritical. So anyway, the ladies decide to, y'all forgive me. I can't go back and edit this. So just pretend I ain't say that. I ain't dropped the F-bomb. I didn't. So anyway, the ladies decide to go over to the men on Morgan's behalf because, as Kristen says, Morgan needs some help. So the ladies walk in and the men, they're all definitely caught off guard, being looking scared in the face, like, oh, hell, what's finna go down now, right? So, before I continue, let me just say that, like, before the ladies had stepped into the apartment, Ben was telling them that, like, in those 3 days when everything happened, like, after, the anniversary, the 1 month anniversary dinner, he was saying that he had stopped eating, he wasn't sleeping, he had lost like 7 pounds. I was like, oh, Ben, dang. She got him stressing, y'all. She got him stressing for real. So anyway, Miguel asked Morgan her side of things, and kind of like I just mentioned, she highlighted how on the honeymoon he was so hell bent on her not lying. Yeah, he's doing it. So somebody asked, well, what is the lie? Exactly, because we still kind of trying to figure all that out. Like, what is he lying about now? Because we knew about the nurse thing, and then I guess so apparently he told her he was not gonna go and talk to anybody, but he did. So that ended up being the lie, because apparently he came back to her face and said that he had not been speaking to nobody, even though he had already been talking to Justin. So Miguel is he's like acting as the mediator. So Ben owns up to things. He says, it's fair, the things that she's saying about him. And so so then Nate calls Morgan out, y'all, about being pissed off all the time versus how Miguel is always kind of just cool, calm, and collected, he says. And so she's standing firm in her ish, like she 10 toes down deep in her reason for being upset. And like I said, I get being upset about your spouse lying to you because it looks like apparently he is lying to her. He did lie to her. So I get that because for me, trust is a big thing too. And I believe it to be foundational. I believe it to be foundational to like any healthy relationship, basically. So again, I get her being upset with him lying, but what I can't get with is it's just totally unreasonable for her to tell him you can't talk to nobody. That's just unreasonable because even her herself, she's doing it. So why would you put that unrealistic expectation on him? He shouldn't lie about it. That's why I said about 5 minutes ago, he just needs to step up and stand up for himself and be like, no, and that way he's feeling he'll be in a safe place to go share his feelings with someone else, and he will not be lying to her because he would not have agreed to not go talk to somebody else. So anyways, um and yeah, that's just period point blank how I feel, because again, they're in this unique process. So it may cause things to surface for you, that you had ever dealt with, or having you feel like or realize that things you thought you could deal with that you can't, in which we end up learning in a few breaths that Ben says he was asked in the beginning if he could handle a strong personality. And he thought that would be an easy thing for him, right? But he said he's learning that it's not been easy. And then he also said that, like, he's learned some things about him, like he's come to the realization that he does have daddy issues. So that's what I mean about being in such a situation like this can bring those moments to light for you when they might not have ever been poignant before, but now they are. And so Ben could have been talking to Justin about these type of things, you know what I'm saying? And not necessarily things specifically about Morgan. But she didn't give him that opportunity to even say what was said and blah blah blah. So, you know, anyway. But Ben, he goes on to say that he's also realized that he can't make somebody else happy if he's not happy. So he says he signed up for therapy. And I said, good for you, Ben. Good for you. Now Morgan needs to follow suit and do the same. So it's the next day, and all the couples are starting to meet with Dr. Pepper, right? So all I can say was, Dr. Pepper, where you been? Where you been? It's about doggone time you showed up on the scene. So anyway, we see her with Ben and Morgan first. So she said her goal with them is compassion and forgiveness, right? She gets Ben's take first. And he immediately is naming all of the things that he's done. I guess it seemed like everything was negative. All the things that maybe he considers to be a failure. He's pointing out the areas where he areas where he has been lacking. And I just feel like in that moment he was shouldering everything. Like the whole breakdown between him and Morgan, I felt like he shouldered it. And that's just not his to shoulder 100%. It is not. It's the both of them. Because even like, for example, he said he felt like he couldn't come to her converse. And even there, he kind of blamed as being his fault. When I very well think it wasn't. I think Morgan didn't open that door. Like, she had such a wall up that he didn't feel comfortable enough to come to him, to come to her and converse, But again, he showed everything 100%. And I just didn't think that was right. So anyway, when Dr. Pepper got to Morgan, she, of course, didn't take any accountability. You thought she was about to, because she starts out talking about how she's just been going over the stuff from the very beginning, and what she could have done differently, how she could have said things differently, how she could have handled things differently. And basically, she said she came up with nothing. You know what I'm saying? So she's not taking any accountability. And I'm just like, girl, please. Boo bye. So, but I like what Dr. Pepper said. She was not going to let her off the hook. So I did like that, because Dr. Pepper was like, it ain't just all Ben, it's you too. Now, I would have loved to have seen, like, what else was said in that moment, because we didn't get it all. It had to have been edited. But anyway, so Dr. Pepper leads them with the assignment to just write letters to their younger selves, so that they can gain some insight and perspective as to why each other acts and reacts the way that they do. So Dr. P, she's now with Stasha and Nate, and her goal with them is how to effectively resolve things. So insert, why was why was Nate two little braids? Why was his two little braids back there? Why did they look like they had been bumped with the curling iron? Y'all, if y'all know how we used to bump that and bump the ends of our hair with the curling iron, that's what it looked like. Or it looked like that he had taken the time to roll them on them little pink sponge rollers. He had taken it out that morning when he took his do-rag. Oh, y'all, I was too tickled because normally my little things be sticking out just like this. It just be sticking out. But the thing was like bumped on the end. I said, oh, child, let me stop. Oh, that was funny to me. So anyway, Dr. Pepper had to tell Stasha that she did not marry herself, so stop expecting Nate to respond or react the way that she would, right? And so the tool that she left with them was to hold hands during the tough conversations. And we find that they have consummated the marriage. And let's just say that they finally just admitted to it, because we already knew they did, right? Right, we knew it. So anyway, Mitch and Kristen are up next. Kristen gets emotional right off the bat. And she was talking about him, saying he's not attracted to her back in the beginning, and how she bent over backwards to make him like her. And she's just tired. She's tired of doing that, and she's not doing it anymore. She's not going to be walking on eggshells. So Dr. Pepper's like, but what do you need to know for him? She was like, I need to know if he still feels the same way, like if he's still not attracted to me, and not if he loves me, but does he feel like he can one day love me? And so Dr. Pepper tells Mitch to give her a string of compliments. Y'all, he said, you're brave, you're strong, you're courageous. And then he goes on to say, because you're all the things I'm not. I was skeptical. And I say, Mitch, first of all, you're supposed to be complimenting her, right? Not tying it into you, complimenting her. And then I said, furthermore, Mitch, use some different adjectives. All those you name, strong, courageous, what? Brave. All of those are synonymous. Like, Mitch, you just really said the same thing. Might compliment that woman. She has a lot of other good qualities. And I don't know if that was his editing, but that's what we got. And I'm like, ugh. And then on top of not just complimenting her with some different adjectives, like that are beyond just skin deep, but also compliment her beauty, because she is beautiful. Tell her she's beautiful. Tell her she's gorgeous. Like, yeah, dog. Mitch, you know what? Oh, child, Mitch, you need some help, baby. You need some help. Anyway, Dr. Pepper, she shows up at Missy Licks and Jolly the Green Giant Justin, right? So, baby, y'all, this tickled me too much. So, she at the door knocking, so Justin opens the door, y'all. It was just the sight. Oh, y'all. It was just the sight of the two of them side by side. I got so tickled, y'all, because Justin's super tall and Dr. P, she's super short. Oh, y'all, that just took the sight of them two just tickled me so. Oh, my goodness. So they end up sitting down, y'all. And before Dr. P could get into it, my Justin was crying. Justin, I was like, oh my gosh. So anyway, Master P was like, not that. Master P, oh, na. I'm sorry, y'all. Not Master P, but Dr. P. Oh, y'all, goodness. Just know it's late here. It's late or early, super early in the morning, y'all. I'm trying to get this review on out so y'all can have it. But anyway, so Dr. P, yeah, Dr. P. I was just like, did I say Master P again? Anyway, so Dr. P is like, what's going on? Oh, so Justice like, it's been a hard day. And she was like, so he tells Lex, can you just tell her what's going on, right? So we find out that the people at the kennel where, or at the training camp where they had taken Maya to, had called and said Maya's not making progress. She's still showing signs of being aggressive. And they recommended that she stays there on the farm where she's at and that they do not bring her back home, right? And so Justin, was all crying about that. And I was like, that was pretty sad. But I feel like he kind of knew what was up. Because like he knew his dog was aggressive. Let's just call the thing a thing, okay? So, but I will say, now the last week episode, I was wondering where Maya was, because I'm like, if we a month in, it's been longer than 2 weeks. Maya should have had her ass back home, you know what I'm saying? So I knew something was up then. I said they might have done called and said, well, we need to give her 1 more week or something like that. And she just ain't making no turnaround. So they done decided that she needs to stay there. So anyway, Alexis says that they're in a better place now because she's decided to just forgive. And I'm just like, yeah, you did, because now you know Maya ain't coming back. Oh, I'm just like, yeah, that's why you tried to go ahead and forgive and get in a better place, because wasn't no chance of Maya coming back. So anyway, Dr. P asked Lex about not showing her feelings, and she talked about growing up in a household full of strong Black women, and like she's never seen her mother cry. And so that's just something that's kind of been instilled in her. She's been conditioned to just be that way. And so Dr. P says that well, you can't really love someone without being vulnerable and trusting that person enough that you allow them to see all parts of you, pretty much. 21 days until decision day. So they're showing their spouses where they grew up, as well as reading their letters, right? So Kristen takes Mitch to a baseball field because apparently that's one of the sports she played growing up. And I think she said she ran track and was it soccer? I think it was like she did like 2 or 3 other sports other than baseball, but that was one of the ones she liked. And so she just talks about the pressure she felt from her parents to be perfect in school as well as in her sports. And so she said that's why she is the way she is in her relationships, like just trying to go over and beyond to make sure that they're perfect and they work out or whatever. So Mitch says that, his upbringing was totally different. Like he had no structure whatsoever. And so that's why he is the way he is. So Miguel and Lindy, they sit down with Dr. P, and Lindy admits that she has her own insecurities that she's trying to work through. And so Dr. P just kind of pointed out that, hey, Miguel, he's not here to sabotage or take away the control that you fought so hard for, like as far as like breaking away from her religion and just kind of take ownership of her adult life. So that was pretty much with them. Nothing more in this scene, really much. So anyway, so Justin, he brings Alexis to a park where he used to frequent when he was growing up, and we find out that his brother was only 19 when he started to be his caretaker, and just as the time I think he said he was what 13 or 14. So you had this 19-year-old basically raising a teenager, and Justin was like, he's kind of the way he is because one thing that he said when he would go to his brother for like help or advice or something, his brother would tell him, well, you figure it out, you know. And so he was just like, that's kind of why he gets in his head a lot, and that he's just always trying to figure things out on his own. And one thing he said he likes to do or liked to do back then was fly kites. I think he said he would imagine himself in a kite, and it was just a way for him to just kind of release those emotions. So they end up flying kites. They just had that little cute little moment right there. All right. Mitch brought Kristen a bunch of pictures from his mother's house because, you know, she's not there, I don't think. Because I remember they had to Zoom or FaceTime when he told her that he was getting married. So I'm thinking maybe she doesn't live particularly maybe within the city limits, maybe somewhere out. I don't know. But anyway, he ended up bringing back some pictures from his mom's house, and he's just kind of going through them. And he talks about how he became really rebellious right after his parents' divorce. And that from there, he just didn't have structure. You know, he didn't have anybody checking on him or making sure he, you know, did what he was supposed to do. He was just a rebellious person, and he was able to get away with it. So anyway, Krista says that she wished she had known this before because it probably would have changed how she reacted in certain situations sometimes. Okay, so Stasha reads her letter to Nate, and vice versa. Nothing much stuck out about hers, but as far as Nate, we learned that he had problems controlling his temper growing up, and that he seemed like he came across like he was a follower and not so much as a leader. And then he also speaks about being introverted. So Stasha says that she was shy and that she had problems having friends as well. Like she just didn't have that many. So she was kind of, I guess she was trying to relate to him on being an introvert as well. So Stasha just happy that Nate was sharing something. Baby Stasha, you better get excited over the little wins. That's what I'm talking about, girl. So anyway, Linda takes Miguel to a dance class because for her, she said it represents freedom from all of the things that she wasn't allowed to do within her religion growing up, right? And I'm just like, how many times do we have to hear about her not being allowed to dance? But I guess that is a huge thing for her. So while it may be something like a person like me may take for granted, for her, that's a huge thing. So I guess that's why she talks about it a lot or points to that a lot. And it seems like something she really enjoys. So to have missed out on that, you know, okay, I see. I see you, girl. I'm sorry. I see you, Linda. I see you, girl. Okay, so anyway, so after they had their little dance class, she brings out her letter and she reads it. She wrote to her 14-year-old self, and this is a time when her parents had just divorced and she had just been sent off to boarding school. So I will just say that Miguel was just very supportive in that moment. And I dare say he seemed to be a little smitten. Like, this the way he was looking at her. Like, I'm feeling like Miguel is having, at this moment, he's having some really strong feelings for her. He really is. So Mitch takes Kristen to his father's gravesite. And yeah, and then we see like pictures of him with his dad. Yeah, Mitch was a little handsome little fella in his younger day when he had a little hair on his head. I said, okay, Mitch, I say, boo. But anyway, so Mitch, he's talking about how he really wished his dad was there and could have met Kristen, and he just thinks that his dad would have liked Kristen. And he also talks about how he never got to tell his dad, or he just never took the opportunity to tell his dad that he was proud of him and he wishes that he did. Nate takes Stasha to his old neighborhood and he's showing her, around and sharing memories with her. And his dad shows up. So Sasha asks him, how was it as a single father and how did he do it? And he actually ends up tearing up, y'all. I was like, oh, you could tell that was important for him. Like raising his kids, you know, um, that he took pride in it, right? So he tears up and I'm saying that because it's not that anything's wrong with it, but it just kind of shocked me because at the wedding he was just like, I don't cry, I'm military, right? So she to see him have that emotion bubbling up, I was just kind of taken aback, but it was like a good taken aback because, like I said, you could just tell it was coming from a place where he had, like, it was an honor, to raise his kids. And that's basically what he said. His thing was, those are my kids. And, why wouldn't I? Why wouldn't I? You know what I'm saying? And so yeah. And then he basically, he said I wouldn't have it any other way. That's what he said. So I just think that was pretty healthy for Nate to see that. To see his father have that emotion, for several different reasons. I think that was healthy for Nate to see that and experience that moment with his father. And I would have to admit that was probably my favorite moment in this episode, y'all. Just to see not just his father, but Nate as well, the two of them, connect on a different level like that they had never had, connected before. Because even they said that this was his first time seeing his father cry. And I was like, oh, yeah, I think I even got a little teary-eyed right through there watching him. So anyway, Ben, he's waiting on Morgan to arrive because, she's moved out the apartment. So this is the day that they're supposed to be reading their letters to each other, right? So she comes in, don't greet them or nothing, don't say hi, bye, cat, dog, nothing. She just comes in, plops down and says, do you want to read first? Now, see, Morgan with the shiznit. She's with it because we're going to get to that later on. So she says, do you want to read first? That means there would be a second, right? All right, hold on to that thought. So he's going deep in his letter, right? He's talking about not being good enough or feeling love. And she's just there stoic the whole time he's reading, like showing no empathy, no sympathy, no support. She really just looking like she don't want to be there, right? She wasn't trying to connect with him or nothing. So she didn't acknowledge anything that he had said. Or at least, from what was edited, because, we just be real. We don't get to see everything, but from at least what was edited, she didn't acknowledge anything that he said. She just immediately went into it. I don't want to read mine. Really, Morgan? So why did you come to him and say, well, do you want to read yours first? Because you already knew going in you didn't want to read yours. And I'm gonna tell you how petty Betty she was about. Talking about, I don't want to read it because you done went to people about this, that, and the other, and I feel like you'll do the same with whatever I share with you in my letter. Basically. That's what she said. Morgan, you with it. You with it. You was wrong. You was wrong. You was wrong. First of all, if you knew you didn't have any intentions on reading your letter, you should have just been upfront with that when you first came in and sat your butt down or plopped your butt on that couch. You should have just said, you know what? I don't want to share my letter with you, and for the very reason, you don't even have to share yours with me. You didn't even have to have him waste his time like that. Because for one, you didn't listen. For two, you didn't reciprocate. And for three, you went up front about it when you came in. You want to read yours first. Like you had him thinking a different way. So you're being deceitful. You know, you were being misleading. And that ain't right. That is not right. That's not fair. And oh, Morgan, you're doing the most, man. And my thing is, like, if you gonna be like that, just go on to split now. Just go ahead and end the marriage. Because you're not staying there at the apartment. You're not reciprocating. And it takes two. It takes the both of you. It's gonna take the both of y'all to get things on track. And I will say that at least we see Ben trying. And cause not to say he's perfect, because he's not. Like I said, he was lying. And so in that he was wrong. But at least we see him trying, at least he's doing the homework that was given to him to try to at least put y'all in a better place. And you're just not doing that. Like, you're not doing your part. So it's like, if you're not, you might as well just go and leave now. May as well. Oh, you may as well. All right, y'all. We gonna get off of them because so Lexi, she brings Justin to the basketball court because she played basketball in high school, and she said she just wants to show him her tomboyish side because, he always sees her dressed up, blah, 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 and she just wants him to know there's another side to her. So they play ball. She ends up beating them in the game, and so after that, they sit down at the table outside, and she's brought some of her scrapbooks from high school with her. And within the scrapbook, it's just highlighted her basketball career during high school. And so she then says, hey, I want to read a letter to you. And she is named it Bag Lady. So I was like, okay, so is this the letter to herself or what? But I loved how she kind of gave her take on it. Because she did end up tying it in to her younger self, but this was just a view of the things she's realizing about herself and that she would like to change. And so she named it Bag Lady, and she just talks about how she's not only inherited her mother's physical traits, but also her hyper independence. And she didn't recognize it until one day she was struggling to get into her apartment after coming back from the store with bags full of groceries. And so her friend was there, and she didn't budge to help her when she saw her struggling. And so Lex said, she asked her, well, why didn't you help me? And her friend said, because you never asked for help. So I've stopped offering. And I was just like, moments like that can seem so minor or so small can be so pivotal. You know what? I say that all the time because it can be just things like random things. It seems like I can remember from my childhood, and it won't be like the big moments. It can be like the smallest, most random things. And I'll be like, it be those things that be the most pivotal times that, in your life, you know what I'm saying? And so anyway, she says from that moment, it just made her give her a different way of thinking and how to it pushed her to try to change her way of thinking. And so she said she's just trying to break the cycle of being hyper independent. And she said that the way she tied it into her younger self is that she would tell her younger self that she can be soft and strong. So I like how she did that. Anyway, Miguel takes Cindy to this place called the House of Puerto Rico because, of course, you know, they can't just go there right now and be back filming and all that. So it's kind of like I'll say kind of maybe like a museum, like a small museum or something like that. But he has like different artifacts and maps and all that. So he's showing her different places on the map, and she, you know, he's just explaining here, and there. And so he said growing up, for him, he was always hoping for the best but expecting the worst. And he talks about being that way because when he was living in New York, he felt like he wasn't white enough. And when he was living in Puerto Rico, he felt like he wasn't Latino enough to fit in. And so he then reads his letter, and at the end, y'all, he tells her he loves her. I knew it. I could tell the way he was looking at her after that dance class, and she read her letter to him. I could tell he was smitten with her then. So she says it back, and they're both just gushing over each other. So anyway, Sasha takes Nate to where she grew up. And she talks about coming from humble beginnings and how her mom worked a lot. And so they were there. Her and her siblings would be there alone and just kind of trying to make do for themselves. And so she says that's why she's the way she is, meaning so ambitious, because she doesn't want to repeat that. And she never wanted that for the family that she creates for herself. And so she tells him about this memory she had of how she used to make these purses, and then she would take them to the mall, get them embroidered, and sell them to the girls in high school, right? And here you go, Nate, child. So we do have something in common. Talking about how he used to be the booster man selling them purses out his trunk. Yeah, I would have to say, I'm really enjoying the two of them this episode. Like, I'm enjoying their vibe. I really am. I know I be coming down on Nate. I think I probably come down on him as being not as genuine as Tasha. I think I come down on both of them. But as far as Nate, I be saying I don't feel like he's genuine. But I'm liking them this episode. I'm liking their vibe. You know. So anyway, she takes him to the house of the family that she lived with when she emancipated herself. And we learn more details about how and why that happened. So apparently it was because she was on a volleyball team, had been with these girls all the way through like elementary, middle school, high school, and she didn't want to leave the team. That was her senior year of high school, and she didn't want to leave the team. And so her friend's mom invited her to come stay with them so that she could continue to play and stay with her friends, being that it was her senior year. Yeah, I wrote down like, somehow I'm wondering if she really emancipated herself or her mom gave guardianship to her friend's parents, because that seemed like that would have been the easier route versus going through the emancipation route. Like, I feel like to be emancipated, it had to have been a lot much more going on. Because it's a lot more difficult to get emancipated than to just change over guardianship to another set of people. So yeah, I'm just kind of wondering what else could have been going on, or if she had really emancipated and she just won't want to use that big word and feel like Like, people don't know what they mean. I don't know. But either it's something more to it, or she didn't really emancipate. She just had a change of guardianship. So anyway, but I will say the family seemed nice. They seemed it seemed like she had a good experience staying with them or whatever, and that they were still close. So I like that she took the time to take Nate there too, because there's like an extended family for her. So yeah. Anyway, y'all, so we close out with Mitch and Kristen. They're on a beach and they're sharing their letters with each other, right? And when Mitch reads his, he gets emotional reading it. And he just talks about being lonely and how hard that can be. And I really felt that when he was reading. I felt that not because I necessarily experienced that, but I felt like where he was coming from, like him getting emotional just kind of translated that even though he was feeling those things, that he wasn't happy in that place. Like, he may come across like he happy, and I think that's just a front, because those emotions said something differently. That he wasn't happy, that he wasn't fitting in, that he was lonely or whatever. But Kristen, she really responded well to him. She supported him. She hugged him. She validated his feelings. And I'm just like, Morgan could take a little lesson from her. Like, that's how you do that. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, I did. I liked how Kristen supported him. And they kind of just hugged it out. I think he ended up holding her. And I thought that was big. Like, I just felt like it was him kind of stepping up and showing her more that, hey, I'm in this, versus her holding him, if that makes sense. Because I feel like normally that's what it's been like. It's been her carrying things. And so for him to just kind of, okay, wrap her up in his arms, I thought that was different. But anyway, y'all, that was the end of the episode. So, yeah, it looks like we got some interesting things coming up, So, hey, I can't wait to see it. And that's it, y'all. Until next time, I'm going to pray for you all. You pray for me. And we will what? All right, y'all. Y'all have a good one. Bye.